So where are we right now?
We are where Young Camelot used to be back in the day. They got evicted. Too much noise for the common people of the world.
Are you excited?
Yeah. It's Thursday night, you know. What you gotta do on Thursdays. So you can be miserable on Friday. It's great. The DIY scene in Chicago is a bunch of local bands and a bunch of local DIY venues. And DIY venues are do-it-yourself, DIY. Basically like in people's basements, in storage space, just places that they like own where they can throw shows. So it's not like technically like an official venue, but they're like they're pseudo venues. You know, I consider them venues. They're the venues that I prefer to go to. They're like in people's basements, and they run the show by doing like $5 entrance fee at the door, technically donation. But they just put that money back into running the show, all the equipment, paying the rent on the building, you know. So we're all kind of contributing to the scene existing. Young Camelot is important to me and a bunch of other music-loving folks. Just because, I mean, fans of local music have a place to go for like $5 where they can enjoy their favorite bands, they can get cheap beer, and mainly just a place that isn't like being like policed. Like at a lot of venues, like it's very like stifled, and you can't really just hang out, you know, you don't feel like you're part of like a community. It's not as organic, you know, it feels more structured. And so at Young Camelot you can go and then just kind of be among your own people, and the people there are like the same people that go to all the DIY shows basically. So it's really cool because you get to really form this community where you see these people and they become like part of like this little music family, like where we know, like yeah, we know what's up. You can like see emerging sounds, you know, you can see like specific sounds coming out of the scene, which is really cool. Certain kinds of punk that like I've never heard before, certain kinds of dreamy pop I've never heard before. All the musicians are getting influenced by one another, and it's cool to watch. It's cool to be a part of. I feel like I'm a part of something, which is cool. I feel like something really big is going to come of it. I got introduced to the DIY scene and Young Camelot by my friend Alex, who found out about these shows from like a friend of his. We were both freshmen in college in Chicago, and we had never lived in Chicago before, so he heard about these shows and was like, yo, there's cool shows happening. And I was like, all right, you know, I'd never been to anything like that before, really. I mean, I'm from Maryland, and we just went to the first one at the original Young Camelot, and just kind of fell in love. Like it's just a great thing to be doing. My favorite local bands are the MTV Ghosts and the Narwhal Rangers. MTV Ghosts were the first local band, okay, actually no, they were like up there as one of the first local bands that I got really into. First time I heard them, they had like a very familiar kind of sound. I was like, oh, this sounds like the Strokes, like this vocalist kind of sounds like Julian Casablancas a little bit. I realized I really hadn't heard anything that sounded exactly like it before, and it hadn't, like the feel of it, and like the tone, and like, I don't know, like the color, how to describe how it felt to me, but it just was just different than anything I'd really heard before, and I just like completely fell in love with it. How it kind of harks back on like some old sounds, you know, like Brian Wilson, and like, but you can also hear like this fresh new like Chicago thing. And my other favorite band right now is the Narwhal Rangers. They are a punk band, which sounds really vague. It is really vague. It's just like weird, like kind of glam punk, but it's like really like kind of heavy glam punk. Like they sing about like porno land and butt cheeks, and like they're like these guys that like just wear like underwear and like are all hairy, and they just like they just like prance around. They're like butt cheeks, and they just create like this amazing live performance that like you just lose your shit. Like you go there and you just like, you're like, this is it, man. Like you just like lose all sense of like consciousness and like being a person, and you're just there and you're throwing your body around and you're drunk, and the Narwhal Rangers are soothing you in a weird way, and buttholes.